Thank you so much for joining us on Unscripted this Thursday evening. Well, the day's been a pretty nice one across northern Michigan after some morning showers. Most of us have dried out. It turned out to be a pretty lovely evening. So any more rain in the forecast, Joe?
There is, but not tonight. So we'll get a little break. And we didn't have a whole lot even today. There were some showers earlier.
Yeah.
But kind of a break tonight. And then tomorrow there's a cold front. It's actually tonight, I'll show it to you in a few minutes, way up in northern Canada. But that is racing toward us. That'll bring in a chance tomorrow for a shower or thunderstorm. After that, if you like sunshine, well, don't go anywhere. Stay here because we'll have quite a bit of it. And then one more thing that's kind of interesting, Maya, some smoke in the forecast. Remember 2 years ago, all the wildfire smoke?
Yeah, a ton of smoke here.
Yeah, so I don't think it maybe is going to be that thick, but we will see a little smoke in the sky too. We'll talk about all that coming up later.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Our top story tonight is out of Emmett County, where a former employee at Harbor Hall filed a lawsuit last month against the nonprofit. Now, Harbor Hall is an addiction treatment center in Emmett County, and the lawsuit claims that there was a pattern of sexual harassment, retaliation, and fraud at the facility. And our Allie Baxter looked into that lawsuit.
The mission behind Harbor Hall is very near and dear to my heart. I loved my job. I loved what we did, what they do for the clients. And I think Jerica said there has to be accountability.
An addiction treatment facility in Petoskey is at the center of a federal lawsuit filed in April. Part of the lawsuit alleges former CEO Peter Bucci sexually harassed Harbor Hall staff.
This isn't sort of like woman is upset about workplace conditions only, although that is certainly an aspect of it. But the concern both with the harassment and then also with public money, Medicare, Medicaid money, and how that's being used.
According to the lawsuit, former CFO Holly Peterson Wood uncovered a healthcare fraud scheme at the facility. Holly said it involved fraudulent billing through third-party labs. The lawsuit says at the time, the scheme was being investigated by the Department of Justice in another area. But when Holly brought it to Harbor Hall board members' attention, she claims they were dismissive.
And literally, I'm not even sure they read my material. And in one sentence from Peter Bucci, they dismissed all of it.
Holly says a few days after her presentation to the board, Peter Bucci was promoted to CEO by board members. Holly says the board also made the decision to make Bucci responsible for human resources, a decision she alleges and outlined in the lawsuit that the board made knowing Bucci had been accused of sexual harassment.
To love those clients and to see their personal growth and their rehabilitation becomes more than a job. It becomes a mission. And it's hard when there's internal conflict going on and toxicity that does not align with the mission statement presented to the community and to the clients. And when you're not abiding by your own charter, your own mission statement, it becomes a breeding ground for lack of accountability.
Jerica Kiley was a billing and credentialing specialist at Harbor Hall and left the company voluntarily last year. She says when Bucci was promoted, staff became fearful of retaliation if they said anything negative about him.
The environment made you question your own reality and your own evidence at times. We had black and white information as to what policies or procedures we should or should not abide by, and we were still told no.
We were working under Peter's rules.
Holly explained she made the decision to file this lawsuit to hold Harbor Hall accountable to being a safe workplace, not just for staff, but for clients entering treatment.
The story can be told and the facts can come out in the court, and the truth can be heard on what happened.
That was Allie Baxter reporting, and Holly's attorney says that more witnesses have come forward since the lawsuit was filed. Now, we did reach out to Peter Bucci and Harbor Hall's attorney for comment, but no one got back to us in time for air this evening. Attorneys for Harbor Hall did respond to the lawsuit in a legal filing, and they deny all of the allegations. Our next story takes us to Mackinac Island, where more than 100 protesters gathered on the island today to bring their concerns about Line 5 directly to lawmakers who were there for the annual Mackinac Island Policy Conference. And our Daniel Zivian was there and has all the details.
On the front porch of the Grand Hotel, government and business go hand in hand at the Mackinac Policy Conference. Half a mile away, protesters are getting ready to march, calling for state leaders to stop the Line 5 tunnel projects pending approval. The Oil and Water Don't Mix Coalition says the whole pipeline needs to go.
It was a bad idea when it was first proposed. It's been a bad idea to keep the tunnel going past its life expectancy, and we're already well past that. And doing it during the policy conference was a good plan, I think, because so many people are here, decision makers, lawmakers, and we can get their attention.
Yeah, we'll have a Standing Rock right here in Michigan, which is what we've been trying to avoid for years now. But if it comes down to that, the people will speak up if we're ignored by our legislators.
We reached out to Enbridge and received a statement saying in part, quote, Enbridge recognizes people's right to express their views legally and peacefully and to engage in peaceful demonstrations. Our preference is always to seek to resolve differences of opinion through dialogue, peacefully and respectfully. Our pipeline is in full compliance with the federal laws and regulations that apply to our business. Safety and the protection of the Great Lakes waters and the people who use them are our focus. The march made it as far as the Gatehouse restaurant before being stopped, first by private security of the Grand Hotel and then by seasonal police officers who barred the protesters from crossing to the school district property. Their rally was ultimately held down at the shore. On Mackinac Island, I'm Daniel Zivian reporting.
And we did also reach out to the governor's office for comment, but did not hear back from them in time for air. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says they're expecting to release their draft environmental impact statement on the tunnel tomorrow. And one lawmaker who was at the Mackinac Policy Conference today was Congressman Bill Huizenga. I caught up with him this afternoon to talk about what he was doing there on the island for the last day of the conference and also about his efforts to enact an H-2A wage freeze. Take a listen to some of our comments.
Congressman, not a bad view from the office today. I know you're up on Mackinac Island for the policy conference. What brings you there today?
This is actually the annual Detroit Chamber of Commerce policy conference that they do. And I usually come about every other year up here and just sort of as the issues dictate, and got invited to be a part of a panel this morning with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell and then new Congresswoman Kristen McDonald-Rivet, and then new Congressman Tom Barrett as well. So the four of us had a little bit of a robust conversation at first about the one big beautiful bill and sort of what was going to be happening there. But then we also talked about a number of bipartisan issues. The Great Lakes, I'm the co-chair with Debbie of the Great Lakes Task Force, and we talked about the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative and a number of other issues there. I talked about some of the H-2A, H-2B issues that we have. That's the temporary labor that comes into the United States to either work agriculture or work, in case here at the Grand Hotel. And places like the island and a lot of other places up north where those temporary workers are coming in and working at hotels, working at restaurants, that kind of thing.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. You are leading an effort right now to enact an H-2A wage freeze. Why is that necessary now?
The federal government sets this wage rate, and Michigan has seen a faster growth in that wage rate than a lot of other states that are also agriculture states. And it's frankly making us uncompetitive. And it's really putting a squeeze on the farmers who are not able to afford such massive increases. So what we're asking in a bipartisan manner is for a freeze on that to make sure that those farmers can pay those ag workers a proper wage, but that it's not outpacing the marketplace. And that's really been the problem. And there's a number of them getting pinched. So this is something that we thankfully have been able to work on a bipartisan basis.
So why is Michigan seeing such an increase in these wages compared to other states?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a question we've been asking and we have not gotten a good answer on. And that's the frustrating part. It's it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why this has been happening. And so we're trying to roll this back in a way. And for some reason, Other states haven't experienced as big a percentage jump, nor have they experienced it as long as Michigan has been dealing with that. And frankly, we hadn't gotten a good answer out of the last administration as to the why. And this administration is still new coming in. That's why we think if we can go in and just say, hey, freeze the wage at what it is, and give yourself some time to review it, it's worth the conversation.
And with the increases of this wage, how is that impacting Michigan farmers?
Well, it's impacting farmers and consumers in a couple of different ways. One, it's raising the input costs for those farmers, and that doesn't necessarily automatically translate into what they are selling their crops for, correct? And if there is, and they have to somehow raise that price, then that means obviously it's going to get passed along to the consumer. So either somebody's getting pinched in all of this, and we view it that between the housing benefits and a number of the other things that these temporary workers are required by law to receive, they are getting a very, very fair wage as it is. And again, we just want to put a pause on that to have an understanding about the why this has been increasing at above the rate of inflation at a faster pace than other states have been seeing increases. Why is Michigan getting singled out like this?
And would you say this wage freeze would be just a short-term solution for a long-term problem, or are there any plans to, have a broader reform to the H-2A program?
Well, as you were asking the right question, which is why is Michigan experiencing a steeper rate of growth, faster rate of growth above what other states are doing? And we think that this is the proper way to hit the pause button, allow the federal government to take a look at this and to say, the new administration to say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And do we need to restructure that? Yeah, there's a lot of debates that happen around these temporary work visas, whether they be H-2A or H-2B, how we get people in here for temporary work, usually seasonal work. That is an ongoing debate that we have. This is a piece of the puzzle. So this is a temporary temporary attempt at trying to make sure that groceries are affordable and that we don't have farmers going out of business.
And so where does this effort to have the wage freeze stand today?
Well, today it is in letter form that we are sending and requesting the administration to do this freeze. We've had a multi-front effort. We've been talking to legislative people, we've been talking to the budget people, the administrative people, and that kind of anyone that will listen, frankly. And again, this is one of those bipartisan issues where we're seeing a lot of folks realize that we've got a problem here in Michigan that needs to be addressed. And so I'm trying to lead that effort to address it.
So do we know what the next steps are or what a timeline looks like of when this wage freeze could go into effect?
Yeah, we need it sooner rather than later because this season is upon us, right? And we need to make sure that this ruling happens as soon as possible. So this is something that we've been working on through the winter and into the spring. So we're hopeful that we're going to get an answer very soon.
All right, Congressman Huizenga, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your time on the island.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And with so many of our lawmakers on Mackinac Island for this policy conference, that sparked a question. It is our question of the day. Do you think your state or U.S. lawmakers are doing a good job representing you? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. It looks like we have about 145 votes right now, and 79% are voting no. You can also leave a comment over on our Facebook page, and I'll take a look at those toward the end of the show. But we are going to take a quick pause right now, but Joe will have much more on your Friday forecast and a look ahead to the weekend in just a couple minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, we are inching closer and closer to our Friday, and then that means, of course, the weekend is right around the corner. Joe, how's the weather looking? Let's start with Friday. What can we expect tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow it won't rain all day, but we do have the chance tomorrow for shower, thunderstorm coming up. I don't think a lot of rain, but you might dodge a few showers. I think most of us will briefly tomorrow. After that, though, then the sun arrives and a nice weekend coming up too. So let's take a look. A lot of events going on. We're getting into that time of the year, including the Mansalona Bass Festival. And here's the forecast for that. That started today, but we have tomorrow and the weekend. Chance for a scattered shower or thunderstorm tomorrow. You see that penciled in close to 70 there in Mansalona, Antrim County tomorrow. A little cooler Saturday, around 60, but it'll be sunny. Beautiful weather for that. I mean, the entire weekend looks fantastic. There in Mansalona, 65. The temperature on Sunday. We had our UpNorthLive Skyview drone out today. This is Bingham Township, Leelanau County. Flying over, that's Center Road. This is kind of between Traverse City and Sutton's Bay. Grand Traverse Bay out there in the distance. I know I always say this time of the year when we show our drone video, but what a difference just from a couple of weeks ago, how green things have gotten. Of course, as we are almost to June here now. Here's our satellite and radar imagery right now, and there is not a lot to show you on there. A couple showers near Alpena trying to hang on, and kind of between Ludington and Manistee right along the lakeshore. But that is really about it. Our next system, you got to look north. So you see that big blue line up there? That's a cold front, and that's going to drop right into northern Michigan late tonight through tomorrow. So here's a look at the timing on some of the rain. Pretty dry night tonight. But there we are tomorrow morning. Showers in the UP and Straits area. It's around 9 o'clock. And then that front will continue to plow into the lower peninsula. Some thunderstorms are possible too. I think any risk for severe weather would be mainly in Wisconsin. But we'll keep an eye on it. And then just as quickly as this arrives, adios, there it goes tomorrow night. And on Saturday, we're looking at some sunshine. And the start of what will be a nice weekend. Severe weather outlook, there it is. For tomorrow, not much of a risk here. Maybe a little small hail if we even get a storm, or a little bit of gusty wind. On the other side of the lake, a little better chance for that. Here is the weekend, 60s. Saturday, lots of sunshine, a little cool for this time of the year. I mean, we will be heading into June. Sunday, lots of sunshine, a nice day. Sunday is the first day of June. And one more thing I want to point out, there's a lot of smoke to the northwest. By the way, I was just taking a look. I was reading 17,000 people have been evacuated in Canada, 17,000 because of wildfires. And some of that smoke is going to slowly drift our way. So we'll see a little bit of this like we saw, especially 2 years ago, but some smoke coming in tomorrow, probably in the afternoon. Outside of that, a nice weekend, dry Monday, warming up next week, and another chance for some rain next Wednesday. That's when another cold front arrives.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's take another quick break, but stick around. Sports is next. You're watching UpNorthLive Unscripted. In this week's Jimmy John's Sports Corner, Sports Director Harrison Beebe sits down with the Northern Michigan athlete who will be playing D1 football this fall.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
Let's talk about you in football. We know it's going to be a few months to you're back playing games, but she made your pretty big reveal that you're going to be playing Division I college football next year in the MAC for Central Michigan. Really kind of give us an overall landscape of what the recruiting process was like for you. Did you always know D1 was where you wanted to go? And then in the end, how'd you settle on firing up the chips?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always wanted to play D1. It's been a goal of mine since I can remember. There are times it didn't look like it was going to happen. Recruiting was slow at first. I'll be on Twitter and like seeing all these kids getting D1 offers. And it took me a while, but I just kind of kept going, kept trusting the process, and eventually I got my offers. And I did all the visits, and once the new staff at CMU came in, I just really connected with them. I liked them a lot, so I did my OV, and then I just decided that's where I wanted to be.
And what does a summer for Drew Esper look like? You're already a college commit, so you're not only training for your current team, but your future team.
Yeah, so I'm still playing safety for my high school team, but obviously switching to linebacker in college. I'm going to start doing drills my own to get used to the linebacker stuff, because I don't want to be completely new in college, but I'll just mostly be working out with the team. We got morning workouts and different things throughout the summer, and it's our first summer with Coach Stoy in the weight room, so I'm really looking forward to it. He's going to be tough, and we're going to get a lot better this summer.
Knowing that you're one of the very few that gets to continue playing the sport they love at the next level, what has that meant to you?
I put in a lot of work to get to this point, so it's a relief that all that paid off. And all these coaches in college always say there's nothing like high school football, though. So I just got to enjoy the last year with my guys there, because those are the guys I've known since like elementary school. So it's a special thing. We got to enjoy the last year of high school.
Were any other notable offers you were fielding, or was just CMU kind of the big one that stood out?
Yeah, so I had an offer from Penn in the Ivy League, and I visited there. It was a really cool opportunity because obviously their academics are really good and everything, but at the end of the day, I just didn't quite see it as a fit for me. So I was kind of just between Eastern and Central, and I just like Central a lot.
Quick update on the Traverse City Pittsburghers season. Unfortunately, the Pittsburghers 0-4 on the year so far. All 4 games have been on the road, dropping the series finale to the Royal Oak Leprechauns this afternoon, 5-2.
And we will take a look at the results for our question of the day straight ahead.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
With many lawmakers up on Mackinac Island for the annual policy conference there. We wanted to know if you think your state or U.S. lawmakers do a good job representing you. As you can tell, majority of voters, 79% said no, 15% sometimes, and only 6% yes. And our Facebook comments definitely reflect that overwhelming no vote. William says, absolutely not. My U.S. rep has refused to hold town halls with his constituents after promising to hold one in every county he represents. If you would like to join in on the conversation, head over to our Facebook page and you can leave a comment. But we are all out of time here tonight on Up North Live Unscripted. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.